well, I'll later focus on.
What are the common threads you see with children that you meet, refugee children around the world, and how are there differences when you are in Cambodia or in Africa or in Europe with Kosovo? I mean, what are the similarities and what are the stark differences that you may see from situation to situation?
Another thing is, it might sound cliche, the kids are the same everywhere. The kids, if they're young kids, they're still really smiling and happy because they don't understand where they are. They're not quite aware of how much they're missing. The thing that was interesting as I've traveled is that, and we know how kids are in this country. You ask them getting ready to go to school, and they kind of fight you, and they don't want to go. And across the world in refugee camps, they're begging to get a chance to go to school. They work really, really hard. They're like little adults. They've been through so much, and then you ask them what they want to be, and they say, I want to be a doctor because I want to help my people. I want to be an architect because I want to rebuild my country. Unfortunately, they're very, very focused on the needs, on survival. But because of that, they've become remarkable, strong, smart, clear, good people, a lot of them. And I think if we give them the right guidance young, then they will continue to grow in a positive direction. I think if we don't aid them, by the time they're 19, 20, and they've seen a lot of death and they've had no opportunities, then you start to worry about if they've developed and gone in a more angry place, and we don't want that to happen, and it doesn't happen if we take care of them as they're growing up.
I mean, how have you seen your son grow and change from the time you met him as a refugee to now someone who has had some familiarity with Western culture and I can't say Hollywood life, a sort of average American life, but with life in the West?
We travel. I'm going to make a point. I think the best education I can give him is to just show him the world as I know it, as I see it now, which is to keep traveling. So he's got 2 passports, and he spends most of his time in other countries. We have a home in Cambodia. He loves Asia, Africa, and we actually don't. I don't bring him to a lot of. He does come to set and he comes to work with me, but you also point to Africa, and he'll say, "Oh, mommy goes there," or he knows. He's very aware. He understands. We have landmine victims are our neighbors in Cambodia, and he understands what that is, and he understands that there are kids that don't have any food or don't have any parents, and he hasn't understood that he was one of them yet. But recently we went to Ethiopia. We went to a market, and he's 3.5, and he was just walking around. No other tourists, and he was just walking around talking to everybody and sitting on their laps. And then I thought, that's great. It's that he's learned the most important thing. He doesn't see a difference. He's enjoying these people, and he's so that's, I think.
You were in at least one film that dealt with modern politics, Wallace. I was wondering if there are any figures out there in the current world, in the contemporary political world, you think would be you would be interested in playing down the road, or if you think there are any larger than life figures out there you think would be good subjects?
Her, no. We were chatting earlier. No, I'll let you guys decide that one. I couldn't possibly see myself like that. So no.
So, looking back, over the past decade, there's been a big change in Hollywood, big change in the media in terms of cable and where people go for movies, where they go for entertainment. Do you think we're going to see more and more people watching at home? Do you think the movies that you did for HBO are a wave of the future, or do you think we're going to have sort of parallel worlds with the big screen movies and people who watch on the small screen at home?
I don't know if I understand the combination of technologies. You mean like yeah, I mean, I'm really terrible at all that stuff. I'm terrible about understanding theaters and box office and things. But I do think it's interesting that you can, you don't have to. go to the theater and you can sit at home, rent a movie. I think it makes all films more accessible to people, and I think that's great. But I don't know. I think it's best when you're in the business never to think about that side of it and just work.
Well, before we ask the final question, I'd like to thank you for being here today and present you with 2 souvenirs of your appearance. One is the coveted National Press Club mug.
Hey. Thank you very much.
And a certificate of appreciation, which I'm sure will not quite go up there next to the Academy Award, but is suitably framed.
Thank you so much.
And now the final question. One of our inquiring international correspondents asks, did you choose to go by the name Jolie because it means beautiful in French, or I will add, because that was your middle name at birth?
Wow, an easy question. Yeah, that was my mom, Angelina Jolie. She was hoping for a pretty angel. That's what it meant, and got stuck with a bit of a wild child. But I never actually liked Jolie because of what it meant. It always made me But now it's my son's name, so it's ours, and it's cool, and I like it. So thanks, Mom.
Great, thank you very much. I'd like to thank all of you for coming today. I'd also like to thank National Press Club staff members Melinda Cook, Pat Nelson, Joanne Booz, and Howard Rothman for organizing today's lunch. Also, thanks as always to the NPC Library for its research. We're adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Oh, sure.
Thank you, everybody.